Spirit House Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. The primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic, news, opinions and information, and additional information can be found at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are to be made to the net control station unless you are instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET-UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name, and if you wish to leave the net immediately after checking in, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you want to leave after subsequent turns, then please make it clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll repeat what I've heard. If you're not acknowledged, then please do try again. And if you miss your turn to call in, I will be calling for any strays at the end of the UK and international sections. So as usual, I'll begin taking check-ins to the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net in call sign number order. So any stations with figure 8 in their call sign, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
Golf 8 Kilo Lima Charlie. Good afternoon, Greg. Name is Phil. Golf 8 Echo Yankee. G8EEY. Name is Mike. G8YM Golf India Yankee Mike. Ian, check out. Greg.
This is G4 and RC, so I've got Phil, Golf 8 Kilo Lima Charlie, and Mike, Golf 8 Echo Yankee, staying with me. And good afternoon, Ian, Golf India 8 Yankee Mike, copy to you as in and out. Any other rates, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, no more 8, let's have 7. Stations figure 7 in that call sign, please go ahead, over. G78 Golf 7 November, Echo Hotel, Greg.
Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg.
G4 and RC, good afternoon, chaps. I've got Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, and Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Any other 7s, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, no more 7s, let's have 6s. Stations figure 6 in their call sign, please. G4 and RC, over. For an RC, second call, any stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. G4 and RC, then UK stations figure 5 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. We don't have many 5 call signs issued yet in the UK, so let's go for 4. Stations figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over.
G4 AIL Phillips, South Sussex. Golf 14 Uniform Engineer, Trevor Moffat.
Golf Hotel Uniform, Hotel Game Valley. Try again without the carrier drop. Philip, Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, Trevor, Golf 4 Kilo Uniform Juliet, and Phil, Golf 4 Hotel Uniform Foxtrot, all acknowledged. Any other fours, please? G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard. Let's go for 3. Stations figure 3 in their call sign, please. G4 and RC, over. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian, in and out this week, please, Greg. G4 and RC, good afternoon, Ian. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, in and out. Any other 3s, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so it's the 2s, and that includes your intermediate 2s. Any stations figure 2 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. 2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, calling from Midway, in and out, please, quick.
2 Echo 1, Golf Delta Foxtrot, Sean in Derby, in and out, please. Thank you.
G4 and RC, okay, good afternoon, Colin, 2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, and Sean, good afternoon to you, Tokyo on, Golf Delta Foxtrot, both in and out. Any other stations figure 2 in their call sign, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, then is the 1s, stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over.
And the 1 that's CYT, Steve.
G1, GRW, Nick, in and out, please. G4 and RC, so good afternoon, Steve, Mike 1 Charlie Yankee Tango, coming in via System Fusion, and Nick, Golf 1 Golf Romeo Whiskey, who's in and out. Any other 1s, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, then here we go. It's time for Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please call now. G4 and RC, over. Here's Mike 0, Golf Uniform Yankee. Good afternoon, Greg. I'm in and out unless anybody needs me specifically, otherwise just listening to the end. Thank you very much. Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, Drew, West Devon. Mike 0, India, in Cornwall. Mike 0, Whiskey X-Ray Golf, Shirley in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg. G4 and RC. Okay, so far I have got Guy Mike 0 Golf Uniform Yankee who's in and out. True, Mike 0 Mike Foxtrot Sierra staying with me. Andy, Mike 0 India Tango Mike in and out. Andy, just some distortion on your signal when you called in. Shirley Mike Zero Whiskey X-Ray Golf, who was also in and out, was however loud and clear. Any other Mike Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please? Chief RC, over.
0 Oscar Alpha Uniform, in and out, please collect.
E4 and RC. Good afternoon, Lee. Mike Zero Oscar Alpha Uniform, and copied you in and out. Okay, let's have Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please. Chief and RC, over.
Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray, name is Andy, RAYNET Pembrokeshire, good afternoon Greg, no traffic, so in and out today please, thank you, over. Golf Zero, Charlie Foxtrot Bravo, Richard East Suffolk, RAYNET, in and out, thank you Greg.
E4 and RC, okay, so that's good afternoon. Andy, Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray, and Richard, Golf Zero, Charlie Foxtrot Bravo. To shortcut things, are there any UK stations that missed their turn to call in? If so, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
Mike, India Zero, Mike, Sierra Oscar, Greg, over.
Mike India Zero, Mike Sierra Oscar. Good afternoon, Philip. You're staying with me. Right, are there any international liaison stations? Those are normally stations from Aran in Ireland, Nord-Zamband of Norway, Aries in Slovakia. Any of our international colleagues on frequency today, please? G4 and RC, over.
Lima Alpha 6 India Mike, name is Hans, with a borrowed radio and in and out.
G4 and RC, that's why I was getting confused. Good afternoon, Hans, Lima Alpha 6 India Mike, copied you in and out. So any station, UK or international, who's missed their turn to call in, please call now. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC. Okay, 22 stations checked in today, which is excellent, well over 1% of the RAYNET population. So the usual reminder, today's net has been live streamed by Graham, G7NE8, to YouTube today. Past live streams and recordings are available by searching G7NEH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel on YouTube. As the days get longer, focus on national power outages might fade, but from South Africa this week, where I'll remind you it's their summer, news of a 4-day power outage so far in the Karoo region, where many towns were taken off power following the collapse of 7 power pylons in a summer storm. Voluntary groups had to help in supplying water and essentials to the affected area. The area was totally without comms for the first 2 days, with patchy cell service resuming on day 3. As expected, everyone had to start cooking food from their fridges and freezers before it spoiled, which pushed the price of cooking fuels up. Also noting that you can pay with cards, it was a cash economy, etc. All those lessons, but in a summer, not a winter period. Thanks to those groups who have responded to the request for talk-through information. A follow-up email will be going out directly to current talk-through permit holders, hopefully today. But for anyone who is still to respond, a short plea. Please just answer the questions and put in the body of an email. Creating Word documents with lots of narrative is something we would discourage from a user service if we were having to pass messages over a capacity-restricted link. My intent was to get a scale of the demand and how much work needs to be done by us and the RSGB before the implementation date of the new licence conditions. We don't have a proper mechanism set up for this yet, and there is nothing certain until Ofcom publish their final decision notice, but this could be as early as the 22nd of February. So we do need the information, but just need to be able to process it quickly to get an idea of the scale and how many late nights I'm going to have. So, those are the only two news items I have for this week. So we'll go to the top of the list. And Phil, Golf 8 Kilo Lima Charlie, G4 and RC, over.
Yes, G4 and RC, excuse me, Jenny Townsend. Very good afternoon to one and all. Yeah, okay on replying to Friday's news. Well, that's answered the question that I had in stock, so we won't bother with that. Nothing further from here. It's concerning to hear the 4 days outage with just 7 pylons coming down. It just goes to show we need to put more pylons up. Therefore, if some go down, it's a lower percentage. I'm not sure that's a valid argument. G4 NRC, G8 Council. I'll just carry on listening, Greg. I won't come back if that's okay.
G4 and RC returning. Okay, Phil. Yes, your response was acknowledged. I have outlined, sorry, not acknowledged, I've received it. I've outlined, started issuing call sign suffixes, even though I haven't got a clue what call sign range we might get and what hoops we might have to jump through to get them allocated. But I've started allocating them so when people do see repeater calls, temporary repeater call signs come through, they're currently going out in date or in time of reception order, so you can see how early you were when they come through. From just 7 pylons, depending on which bit of the grid you hit, it might just need to be 1 or 2. Recall flooding down in the southwest a few years ago where there were high volume pumps protecting a substation down in, I think it was Devon. Slight problem was there's 2 very high voltage cable routes running down into Devon and Cornwall, and one of them was off for maintenance and the other one was the one that was getting wet. So it doesn't take 7, just 1 in the right place can cause lots of mischief. And with the mischief, let's go to the mic. Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC from G8EY. Sorry, a bit of a delay there while I coughed at your comment. Yeah, well, it's a bit cooler today. It's 8.3 centigrade, 992 millibars, so quite low pressure. 89% relative humidity, 75% cloud cover, and 11.3 miles per hour from 280 degrees. Well, we had our long distance walkers association 50-mile event yesterday and this morning. I was in bed by 4 a.m, so it's not too bad. Yeah, from point of view of risks, yeah, well, I did a fair bit of what felt like off-roading getting there. Coming back, I chose a different route, and I ended up having to test the wading capabilities of my Land Rover on a road north of Coltishall. I won't name the road because it takes too long to spell the name phonetically. Yeah, we used 4 single call sign talk-throughs, all running more than 25 watts. So obviously I'm going to have to make my response eventually for a minimum of 4. Currently looking at probably to cover, and this is the problem, we probably won't need to run that sort of event until 2 years' time, so how far ahead do we plan? But it could be as many as 12. The clarification was useful, although it does still wonder me a bit. As for power cables, I've always been a great believer in running power cables underground and not pylons, because pylons are always a problem. From G8EEY.
8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC returning. And in reverse order, yeah, there's always 2 sides of that debate. Power cables underground are, I think it's 4 times or is it 8 times more expensive to actually install and take a lot longer to get down there and fix faults should there actually be one. Having been the proud owner of a faulted 132 kV power cable at one point over the last couple of decades, it's a long time to get the shovels out, whereas overheads are easier to fix because you just call out the poles and holes department and new sticks are put in the ground. We're going to have a further debate about talk-throughs and what I mean by different things The new license conditions are interesting. I'm going to use the word I first thought of, because with the future talk-through permits, we don't need to consider data anymore, because data is a separate class of license. Repeaters are very much just voice repeaters, and it's the use by more than one person. So if it wasn't you remote controlling your car to get back to a main net on simplex, then that's remote control, which again is a different class of operation. Confusion is rife. I'll pick that apart as I start going through all these responses. I'll come back for more on the LDWA50 later, but let's go to Graham and see how the viewing figures are. G7NEH, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G7NEH. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon to all on the net. And viewing figures for last week were 44 views in total and 8 likes. Just been playing about with the settings on OBS today, and please leave anything in the comment section, those watching the stream, and anything you'd like to see on the display. Again, leave it in the comments, because I don't really think you want to look at mine or Greg's face. HI. So there we go. So in the chat box, there's one comment from Les from Leicestershire Raynet. More information about talk-through boxes and crossband repeaters. I don't think Les is actually on the net by voice, and I don't know a call sign. So there we go. So with that, back to you, G4NRC, G7NEH.
G7NEH, G4NRC. Yeah, I think we have proven that when my face was on the screen, viewing figures went down. So we won't do that again. There was questions about making some things a little bigger, as I recall, than an extra comment, an extra column on one of the screens last week, Graham. And there was also a thought about whether people should see how appalling my typing is. So as the log gets built up online, should people see what I'm typing into the log? So we'll see what traction that gets as we go around the net today. Okay, thanks for doing the stream. Next to Dave, and hopefully the description under West Cheshire Raynet AGM calling notices are fine. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Yeah, good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, no problem. The description in the calling notice, absolutely fine. I'll get there handy. We've got a big screen on the wall with HDMI connection, power, and I can set up the Wi-Fi if needed. I don't know whether it's just on your computer or anything you need on the Wi-Fi, but that can be sorted in a few moments' notice. Yeah, just put a note on the online stream. I do like the new layout. It's nice and quite clear and concise. I don't know whether adding the log would be a good idea or not. The layout is good today, but it might be interesting to see the log as well. But whether it would make everything more crammed in, I don't know. Back to you, Greg. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar.
Like 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC. Yeah, I'm just thinking that Michael had too much fun when he gives me the weather report in a different order each week, watching me struggle to try and type it all in and get everything done right. The log is of necessity a summary of what people say, and sometimes use it as a prompt for the next time around when we get to do the second round of the net. Okay, and thanks for letting me know there's a screen at the AGM venue. I will have to think about something to put on it now then. Right, next to Philip, Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, India 4 Cow. Thanks so much, Greg. And first of all, thanks Ben for attempting to make communication with me Tuesday evening, and hopefully my explanation made reasonable sense. Come back to that in a minute. So a comment you made earlier on, the pedant in me would start thinking, well, there's a different license for digital repeaters and for voice ones. What is a DMR repeater? Digital or is it voice? No doubt the definition has been kicked out. It's kind of an interesting question in my mind. Talking of DMR, we were talking with one of the South Sussex people this last week or so. We've got an event coming in May when they and me are likely to be reasonably close together on checkpoints, and I am tempted to try and get my remote access radio working with DMR to FM for that event. And that kind of highlighted the question, well, of course, I'll need to set up the radios with different UHF frequencies from the one that leads my hotspot. That then raised the question, I wonder whether anybody in other groups have already set up some guidelines or some what they do, just thinking if somebody else has got some ideas, then might be good to get that. So maybe Colin over on Maybury there, I know he's just listening on the side, I think. Maybe I'll probably drop an email to Colin actually and see if you've got anything. But just in case anybody else had any thoughts, it'd be nice to sort of have a follow-up pattern rather than just come up with something random. And the last one, which I think was in my comment coming back after my failed attempt really to set up an HF contact on last Tuesday when we were talking about HF radio in our local group. And that was the question, what was the envisaged function of HF radio in a user support requiring scenario? I mean, I'm sure we can dream up lots of them. Just interesting to know whether there was any particular thought and focus in terms of what we do, and see that matches with the off-the-cuff response I gave. And I know that Nick's has seen the side from South Sussex as well, because he called in, so he'll be interested to hear the answer to that one as well, since the question came up at our meeting. G4, NRC, G4 Cow.
Try again, the bridge was slow to connect that time. G4KIL, G4NRC. Okay, got three things hanging on the hook there. Let's take a couple of them away. Use of UHF frequencies, remembering that the primary user has got very excited about 70 centimetres and the usage of it, which is what's been giving us problems for keeping talk-through usage going full stop. Gather your information. Groups do tend to go off-piste and do strange things. Frequencies of 439 megahertz are quite useful sometimes to get away from the madding crowd. So come up with a plan, but maybe wait and see what we get out of the final decision notice from Ofcom as well about what the art of the possible is. HF radio and user support scenario, there's a couple that immediately come to mind. One is that we have a tunnel in Greater Manchester that goes through to Yorkshire. It carries a railway line just for fun. Rather than setting up two talk-throughs over the top of the Pennines to join the two portals together of the tunnel, then Top Band FM would use to actually connect the two, because it didn't put our operators at risk of having to go out and go up to horrible places to run talk-throughs. So in a user support requiring scenario, is there a use for all the other bands we've got in a bucket alongside 2 meters and 70 centimeters? In a wider scenario, if you look at your local counties, then you'll find that probably your local health board is nowhere near you, or the local or the national government office that looks after you is somewhere in Leeds or Birmingham. And having that wider area situational awareness is the other thing we've had in mind. Okay, that's my off-the-cuff ones. Round to Trevor, G4KUJ, G4NRC.
G4NRC and the group G4KUJ. Afternoon, Greg and everybody else. I'll get my reply to the Friday news into you by end of day. And I'll promise to keep it short and not write war and peace for you. To Drew, I'm sorry I haven't had time to try to put a message on your web chat on Arden, but I'll endeavour to do that during this week, which is a lot quieter than last week. Apart from that, I don't think there's anything else at the moment. So back to you, Greg, G4NRC, G4KUJ.
Or KUJ, G4NRC. Okay, you just reminded me about unleashing the inner pedants from Philip's comment. Yeah, we nearly went down that rabbit hole of what is it that's being licensed? Is it the content or is it the waveform? And this argument has been deployed in America where you can't transmit pictures on some bands, but if you stick it to the data stream, yes you can. I'm just trying to get straight in my own mind what the distinction is going to be between a low-powered Arden-style mesh, which will now be perfectly workable, just like a lot of AX25, like a lot of APRS, etc., without any extra hoops to be jumped through, and exploit people's focus on this purely being about repeaters. So we minimise our admin overhead by using the flexibility of the license to its fullest. So that little nudge from Trevor there about Arden was the trigger. Right, and with us loud and clear, Phil, Golf Hotel Uniform Foxtrot G4NRC, over.
This is G4HUF. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, everybody else on the net. And it was interesting last week that during the net, I think moments before my system failed at this end, that I received an email from Andy DW0JLX with details of his Go box, which was very interesting and much appreciated. And of course, the other significant thing there is that he's got the HF capability with it too. And it's interesting to think about that. I mean, Dane Valley haven't got a lot of activities on their own calendar. So it's very rare that we'll do anything outside of 2 meters and 77s. But HF and talk through, although it doesn't directly affect us as a group, it's definitely something to be considered for the future should need arise. So all the comments with what are interesting. Right, I'm going to duck out at this stage, Greg, because we're feeding to the hungry hordes tonight, and there's still a bit of preparation work to be done. But I will continue to monitor the net until you close down, and of course, if anybody's got any questions, I very much doubt it, but if anybody's got anything that it affects me, then I'll be listening and should be able to come back to you. G4NRC, this is G4HUF.
For HUF, G4NRC returning. Okay, so noting you don't have a lot of activities in your own calendar, we've only got 2 for West Cheshire at the moment. Just a reminder, because some older listeners will remember this one. Last year, West Cheshire Group has 2 nets a month on the 5th and 20th of the month at 19:30 hours local time. We kept the 5th of the month net on 2 meters, but on the 20th we've been rotating around, torturing the frequencies on 6 meters and 4 meters and APRS. just to provide some diversity. So while you might stay limited, and terrain pretty much is why West Cheshire and Bain Valley are normally all on one net. It's something just to think about, Phil, that you can always try having an ad hoc monthly net to break the bounds above and beyond 270. Anyway, enjoy the Sunday dinner. Hopefully they don't eat you out of house and home. And we'll move on to Steve, Mike 1, Charlie Yankee Tango, G4 and RCO.
CYT from Mid-Hearts RAYNET. Good afternoon to everybody. Not a lot to say. If you're on about events, we're getting inquiries in, I think, for our usual events that are past for May. And we're having our training sessions as we normally do on the power outage and various other things like that on the third Thursday of the month. And testing all radios now on nets every week, and also some of the council offices that we've got radios in. But back to you there, this is M1CYT in a group.
Mike 1, Charlie Yankee Tango, G4 and RC returning. Yeah, we used to have quite a across Cheshire, quite a few events, and now it just seems to have depleted back to May and October, when people will come out and organise events that are in the not too hot and not too cold seasons. Because you've got that week, we kept our nets on a date-based rather than a weekday rather than a day-based thing, so we do rotate around, and if anybody can't make a Tuesday because of what they do, at least we get them on a net at some point through the year. So maybe that's a topic for future DMR nets as to what people do. Okay, 2 to go on this round. Next one is Drew, Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4 and RC. G4 and RC, M0 MFS. Yeah, okay. What have I been up to? Oh, I'm hooked on this Arden Nest story. It's really quite. My wife would tell you it's my in thing to go to at the moment. So I give up computing for work and then pick up computing for my hobby. But anyhow, so I've got a mesh map running on my node, and I'm just waiting for a bunch of voice over IP phones to arrive from eBay, and then I'm hoping to set that up. And all things being equal, I'm hoping to deploy the mesh with a pair of RS links for the X4 challenge in May. Really, it's no challenge. I have been trying to put it on the RAYNET website, but it appears that I don't have access. I spoke to my group controller, and he doesn't know how to access. I don't know who to talk to. I've been deputy controller for almost 18 months now, and I don't think that information has ever made it to National. So if you've got any ideas who I should be talking to on that front, I'd appreciate it. From M0 MFS. Mike Foxtrot. My turn. System's being a bit slow today. Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4 and RC. Okay, yeah, I've also been getting slightly hooked / frustrated. I need to get the firmware up to date on my Arden mesh nodes. Been trying for days, also trying to get one of these GLI net pocket routers running, and it's being resistant to change. I'm currently struggling to get things to update the way they should. But yeah, I look forward to having a look at your mesh map, and I'll plug my VoIP phone back in at some point to be more contactable as well. Access to the website, I would suggest in the interim, then email, I think it's the diary at raynet-uk.net. I'm sure that goes somewhere to get things put into the diary. Your group, this is tied to group controller access, and I don't think the database understood that there were deputies. So if your group controller doesn't know how to get something onto the calendar, then maybe ask your ZC, see if you can give them a walk through it. I have done it for a couple of other groups via a Zoom call, which is also sort of option of last resort until we get past the talk through thing, if we could. but it is something that's a bit of a moving feast at the moment as website functions move from one place to another. Right, I think that's answered that lot. Let's get to Philip, who's the last on this loop, and then I'll clear the rest of the things I've got in the log I haven't answered yet. Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar, G4 and RC, over. Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar, G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, looks like we've lost Philip to other things. Right, so Les was wanting more information on talk-throughs and crossband repeats. This is the bit where we're not very conventional compared to the rest of the amateur community. Once upon a time, a couple of license conditions ago, we were not allowed to operate repeaters defined as something that simultaneously received and retransmitted voice. And while everybody, the rest of the community thinks of these as in-band repeaters, they applied just as much to cross-band repeaters as well. So when we got into the latest license conditions, when remote control was permitted, so you could remote control your station from a handheld somewhere in your property or out on events, driving your vehicle radio. That was done under Clause 10 of the license. But that Clause 10 prohibited you from letting other operators access it for general unsupervised use, which is why we had talk-through permits as a means of demonstrating, and Ofcom were quite happy with this, that RAYNET's talk-throughs were not for general unsupervised use. They were there for a specific purpose, and they were generally for a bit more than an operator remote from his vehicle. So the operator remote from vehicle, that was his own license, his own problem, but if you have a crossband serving a wide area for lots of people, and a couple of control operators and so on, and that's where the talk-through permit kicked in. The new license defines the repeater the same way. Now you're receiving and transmitting voice, or whatever it actually says, but it's a power limit restriction. So under the new license, anybody will be able to run a repeater for any amateur to use under 5 watts ERP. But because for RAYNET we tend to run more like 5 to 25 from all the talk-through permits I used to reports I used to receive, they hopefully be able to issue call signs so people will be compliant with the license, and we'll have to figure out a way of coordinating frequency use and so on. Anything over 25 watts, particularly on 70 centimetres, will have to be coordinated with the Ministry of Defence. And there is no getting around that one. They looked at what we've been doing, and even with the few 50-watt users that were out there from time to time, got a little bit twitchy, so things are changing. Hopefully that helps Les with the info on talk-to and crossband repeaters. And we'll go back to the top of the list for any further thoughts. Golf 8, Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC from G8EY. Oh, well, let's start from the top, I suppose. Well, I ask myself, what is data? Data is actually a digital system, usually with headers, forward error correction and payload. So you could actually say that CW is actually it's a pulse width modulation digital data with no headers. And yeah, right. Yeah, well, Norfolk, as everybody says, including the likes of Oscar Wilde, Norfolk is flat, but it has quite deep holes in it, and that's our problem. We don't have anywhere to put a transmitter of reasonable power and get into those holes, which is why we end up using more than 25 watts with talk-throughs. We've never, ever had general use of talk-throughs. More than one call sign, I will say. Like for the long-distance walkers this weekend, A 24-hour shift, you're not going to do that with one person. So we tend to use, or I tend to use, club call signs. So a talk-through at control running 22 hours will operate with a club call sign, which is one call sign. And ultimately, if there's any problem, the collateral comes to me because I'm the holder of the call sign. From G8EEY.
G8EEY, G4NRC. Yeah, I pointed this out to an RSGB president many years ago when the remote control and clause 10 stuff came in, the way it was worded. Club call signs could be operated under or by authorised club members, and that general unsupervised thing, well, if you were on a hilltop and didn't go out often, you could run a repeater from there because you were supervised, and you could have some quite long duration supervised repeaters. Luckily, people didn't go down those rabbit holes because we're a self-policing hobby, so nobody wound them up too much. But I think the new rules are going to sort of clip some people's wings and will maybe make life clearer. But I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole of what is data, because I just typed in CW as the original data mode. That's what people normally call it as. Right, thanks Mike. Next to Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, G4NRC. G4NRC. 788 returning. Right, okay. So current viewing figures on this week's net are there's about 25 views, and there's 10 currently viewing the stream, and 3 likes. The chat's been quite busy this week, which is always good. And Leslie's call sign is M0 JVZ. So there we go. Like Drew, I've been playing, as you know, I've been playing around with the Arden node, and we're all set up and running. It'll be on 24/7. It's hooked up to a Raspberry Pi, and noted what Drew's done and put the map. I'll have to take a look at that later. I was planning on putting Mesh Chat on the Raspberry Pi as a service, but for the life of me, can't find the install file, the dev file to download. I'm not sure what's going on there. Perhaps if anybody knows can give me a point in the right direction. And there we go. So it's all up and running. Right. Also on the Arden node, you can access the GB7WX dashboard if you so desire, because that's set up as a service at the moment. Right, not a lot else to have from me. So back to you, G4NRC, G7AH. G7AH, G4NRC. Yeah, I was meant to be going, you mentioned the dashboard, you're going forward after yesterday. I was struggling to get everything working and understand where the data was going. Yeah, it's all there. I am looking at, I want to get these firmwares up so I can get access to all the latest functions, like the super nodes. But then, having got a hot air solver reflow due out before Christmas, I do need to get the amplifiers sorted out for the new packet radio nodes. And the new packet radio nodes will help us have different links between us, because Graham and I have tried. We're only 2 miles apart, but we can't even get 23 SEMs back and forth between us, courtesy of some woodwork. So 2.4 gigs would be a little bit more of a reach and make it more difficult. So we need to move our data on other frequencies and probably over the 44 net. But I've figured out how I can do that now. Okay, thanks Graham, thanks for the stream, and to Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC, over.
G4 NRC, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. No, nothing more to add here. All ready for the AGM in a couple of weeks. I will be there this Wednesday from about 5:45. If you want to bob past, setting up for the parking that night, it starts at 7:30. So if you are available, just pop your head round the door, Greg, and just see what the setup's like. Just drop us a message, and there's no problem there if you want to have a quick look. That's you, 7 Alpha Victor Oscar.
7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 NRC. Okay, noted Dave, just a reminder, and this is probably a health warning for the entirety of the net. It's Valentine's Day on Wednesday, so be careful what schedules you make. I suspect since it is that day and HF net later on in the evening, it might be a no, and I'll just have to ring it like I normally would to go in. But thanks, Dave, and certainly thanks for confirming the AV availability, which would be great. Okay, next it's Philip, Golf Kilo India Lima, G4NRC, over.
No, G4NRC, G4KIL. Yeah, thank you very much, Greg. Very much, Brad. Thanks for the comments on the HS scenarios. And thanks for the fact that we recorded on our YouTube as well, because I'll probably go back and transcribe it from there and stick out on our local group as an answer. I was a bit busy here, so I was only half concentrating, so that was great to get those responses. Okay, I'll leave it there, and hopefully speak to you again next week. And as I think I won't be up Wednesdays, not great evenings, neither are Thursdays for me, so maybe a little while before I'm back up on the HF net again, unless I suddenly have an unexpected available slot, as it were. Very good. Right now, 73s, and speak next week. G4 NRC, G4 KL.
AIL, G4NRC returning. Okay, so yes, when I saw your email, I thought I can do better than that. So what you got over the air was just what sprang to me on the request, but I can do better than that for input back to your group. One request for you that I forgot was you sent feedback about the event, the HF demo, just to John, G0VPJ and myself. Is there any chance you could throw that across onto the main HF mailing list as well? Then everybody else gets to see the story and learn from it. So I'll leave that to your discretion, given what went on the night. Okay, thanks, Philip. See you next week. Trevor for a final. G4KUJ, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC in the group, G4KUJ. Yeah, okay, all stations, all very interesting net again this afternoon. Okay, what you're up to, Drew, with the VoIP stuff. I do have a Grandstream VoIP phone at this end, which has the capability of IP address dialing, which works very well, and certainly Greg and I have tried that out successfully on the tunnel between the two of us. And noted, Graham, that you're back on and the tunnel between you and I is working. I've just had a look at your WX dashboard, so that's all working excellently. Okay, nothing further at this end. Next week should be around next week, no problem as far as I'm aware. G4NRC in the group, G4KUJ.
KUJ, G4NRC returning. Okay, thanks, Trevor. I realised I'm handing it over. I didn't actually ask you Graham's question about how to get mesh chat on anything. So, Drew, since you're coming up in a couple of stations' time, the question might aim towards you, because I haven't got a clue at the moment. I'm looking, and doing my usual thing that we have a great network, but we're not passing much payload over it, hence wanting to get back to HF where we close to do proper message handling, informal message handling rather than just signal reports and what's going on with the stations. Okay, thanks Trevor, thanks for doing the logging. Next, for any further comment, it's Steve, Mike 1, Charlie Yankee Tango, G4NRC, over.
This is M1 CYT in the group. No, nothing from me. It's all been very interesting. When I can get on a Sunday, all the topics that everyone seems to talk about, as I say, is very, very interesting. It's a shame that we all don't get emails all about them and little bits and bobs that we could take away and give to our groups as well. Like, as I say, power outage, what sort of batteries are best to use, and the other things that the other people are talking about, the new IP stuff that's going on, which again is probably, excuse me, is another topic to do, or probably once a month, maybe a Zoom or a Teams meeting between lots of members. But yeah, food for thought. All right then, thank you very much for the net, and I'll try and catch you next week. This is M1CYT saying good afternoon to everybody on 73.
Charlie Yankee Tango, G4NRC. Yeah, I know we've heard that one before. The challenge, Steve, is at the moment I'm doing 4 DMR nets a week a month, 4 or 5 HF nets, 2 group nets. Got IARU stuff to do, com meetings. We need more volunteers who can distill this and turn it into something useful for wider spreading. The logs are all stored, but actually going through and distilling this, or even just pointing people to Graham's YouTube channel, there's a lot of stuff to listen to pick out the nuggets of information. However, we will solve that, I'm sure, one day. Right, Drew, any clue on mesh chat? Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, M0MFS. Yeah, mesh turned out to be an interesting one. There's some IPK files all over the web, but I couldn't get any of them to work. So I downloaded the source from GitHub, compiled it up on in fact on a Raspberry Pi, and used the built images, and that worked fine. I've got an AC3 and I've run this chat on that, actually hosted by the node itself. But then when I put the mesh map up, I had to put a Ubuntu box on there, so I've moved mesh chat across to that. So I've now got 2 independent servers attached to my node, one of which is an Ubuntu x86 and one of which is a Raspberry Pi, and I'm throwing things on there depending on what they're best suited. They're both running Docker and everything is containerized. And I've got 4 Ubuntu RF nodes and another couple of AC2s. So, and like I said, I've got 10 IP phones bringing their way to us. So hopefully we can do some IP phone, IP telephony, direct calling over the next 2. I'm very aware that Wednesday is Valentine's, so there's a limit to what I can do this week. And then work is going to start taking over at the end of the month. So wishful thinking, but I hope to get something done before April. Read a comment about the diary. I've found the email address. I think I've sent it off. Thanks for that. So other than that, I shall say thanks, Trevor. Thanks for running the net, Greg. All the best to everybody, and we'll catch you next week from M0MFS.
Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4NRC. You've really gone for it with 10 IP phones. I had to struggle to sneak one into the house. Okay, I still have a hankering that when we can actually get this up and running better, trying to do something to get all these different asterisk phone exchanges, different groups have got working, coordinated together, and get the value out of the numbering scheme that we set up for these this DMR server of ours, which was also intended to be used for VoIP extensions and linking groups together, so you didn't have to know a whole load of dotted decimal IP addresses. So plenty to play with, Drew, and keep us in touch with how you're getting on with it, navigating all your other challenges. Right, let's see if Philip's back with us and get a 2 for the price of 1 over from him. Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar, G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard from Philip, so I'm assuming he's been dragged away by affairs of state, not able to participate anymore after his first call. So, having just gone past the hour, I think we'll bring the net to a close. So thanks everybody for taking time out to participate today. It's been a good chat as usual. Be careful, have a good week, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time, I will close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net on Pheonix and Brandmeister 23531 and RAYNET-UK server 5023531, and return those talk groups to being an open net rather than a directed net. So as a result, this is Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie now closing and reverting to my normal call sign of Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo.